I'll call the meeting to order. Um, Before we get started, let's introduce everyone on this meeting. I'm Jonathan Nickerson. When I call your name, please confirm you can hear me by verifying that you are present, starting with the commissioners. Patrick,
Present. Can hear you.
Emily,
Present.
Sandy.
I am also present. Hey,
Camera.
there you are.
Invisible.
It was like 3 things down. I found it.
It
So,
just needed me to. It just needed me to start talking, and it somehow started working. I don't know.
No, that's okay. You can continue to talk since you probably have it set up a little bit better.
That's fine. Yeah, I've got my monitors up. So, and Travis is not with us this evening. So, for staff, Leah.
I'm here.
Thank you, and Jan.
Present.
Thank you. Running through the speakers, 68 Carroll Road. Who's here to speak on that one?
David Terrian. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. And then for the Fisherville Pond transmission line structure replacement, who's here for that one?
Me, Olivia Shaw.
Thank you, Olivia. And then for Abbey Woods.
We're here, John, and Abby is here as well.
Awesome. Thank you very much. So this is an open meeting of the Conservation Commission and is being conducted remotely via Zoom pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order, as most recently extended on March 29, 2023. Access information for the public has been provided on the town website. This meeting is being recorded. Please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. If you are using the dial by telephone feature, you can mute yourself by pressing *6. As chair, I will introduce each speaker on the agenda. Please note that you will not have screen sharing privileges, but staff can display any visuals per your cue. After speakers conclude their remarks, I'll invite each commissioner to provide any comments, questions, or motions. After the commissioners have spoken, I will allow public comments to be spoken by participants. Participants must use the raise hand feature by clicking on the hand icon at the bottom right-hand side of the Zoom menu bar to indicate they would like to speak. If you are using the dial by telephone feature, please press *9 to raise your hand and *6 to unmute when you are called on. Participants who raise their hand will be recognized one at a time and promoted to speak. Public comments will be followed by the commission and applicant responses. Finally, each vote taken will be conducted by a roll call vote. As a reminder, the commission is concerned with state and town wetlands and stormwater regulations. Concerns outside this purview need to be addressed with the appropriate boards. For example, road conditions must be addressed with the select board and traffic conditions must be addressed with the planning board. Woo! Sandy, I love it. So we're a few minutes early for the 7:15, Leah or Jan. So I don't know if there was an action item or something that we could take out of order, discussion item.
Probably just the minutes.
Okay. So did everyone have a chance to review the February 20th, 2024 meeting minutes? I'll run around with any comments. Sandy?
Reviewed them and no comments.
Okay. Patrick?
Yep, reviewed. No comments from me.
And Emily?
No comments for me.
All right. And I believe that was the meeting that I missed, right? So I did watch that one as well as fill out the Mullen rule for the other piece of it. I didn't have any comments as well. So that being said, do I have a motion regarding the meeting minutes?
Sure, I'll make a motion to approve the February 20th, 2024 meeting minutes.
Second.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Sandy?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
I'm also yes. The motion passes. That burnt a minute.
I don't have anything super quick.
Okay, that's fine. And now it's 7:14, so we get 1 minute we can jump into the first one here.
I guess just as a heads up to the commission, in the near future, we will have our own our own filing before us for the replacement of the culvert that blew out at Hennessy. Jeff and Art are helping us pull all that together. So that'll probably be on an April, I think, meeting, maybe May.
When did that happen, Leah? Was it one of these recent storms or is it something further back?
Not too recent, probably a year and a half ago, I think.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, so we've had, trail closed posted out there, and we had to skip our fall mowing in the back this past fall. So actually, I guess it was like a little longer ago, like maybe more like 2 years, because the first year it had blown out, we rented a road plate to get the brush hog across to still mow the back. And then last year we didn't want to pay for the rental fee again, and we can skip one season and we'll be okay. So hopefully we can get that underway this summer and in place for the fall mowing this year.
Sounds good. It's 7:15, so we can move into the first public hearing, the first meeting here. So I'll call to order the 68 Carroll Road meeting. So pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, March 12th at 7:15 p.m. via Zoom to act upon a request for determination of applicability for the construction of a deck at 68 Carroll Road, Grafton, Mass. The application materials, meeting link, and access information will be posted on the town website. For more information, please contact this town number or conservation@graftonmass.gov. So who's here to speak? Is that George?
Dave Terrian, I'm the applicant's representative.
Perfect. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening. My name's Dave Terrian. I'm the applicant representative, and I'm here to discuss the installation or the replacement of a deck to the rear of the house. I flagged the wetlands in January. And there was snow on the ground, so I flagged along the tower slope, which appears to be pretty much the edge of wetlands. All of the work is within 100 feet, and the proposed deck replacement is it's beyond the 25-foot no disturb, so we don't have any work proposed below that. The original deck has been removed. The stairs were left in place for the door at the northern end of the house. Those will be removed when the new deck goes in. And as it's shown on the plan in red, the new deck will be installed and stairs coming off the back. Siltation erosion control will be installed along the do not disturb line, and access will be from the north side of the house off the driveway. Since the old deck has been removed, there isn't much material to be removed at this point. Construction material will come in from that end. The footings were left in place from the old deck, and they will be used if possible. The deck's being shifted to the north, so they may not line up. It's anticipated they may have to put in two or three footings, and those would be augered and poured concrete. I guess with that, I'll just leave it open to questions.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. I'll go around the group first. And I've lost all my, I can see this, I can see the map and I can see Dave. I don't know how I can see, I don't know if we can close the map or not, or if we want to leave it up.
If you click view options on the top, you can change it
Switch
so
it.
that you can see gallery and not just speaker.
Okay. Sorry about that. Emily, do you have any comments or questions on 68 Carroll Road?
No comments or questions. Thank you.
Okay. Patrick?
No, I don't have anything at the moment.
All right, Sandy?
One quick one, are we also, through this negative determination, approving the line that was flagged in the field?
No, I modified the application. I was requested to take that off.
Okay. Yeah, I have no other questions. It's fairly straightforward. That was the only question.
All right, I didn't have any questions as well. So Sandy, apologies, but as a note, do we need to go to the public now, or do we need to go to the public after a potential motion has been made?
You would want to go to the public now.
So if any members of the public have comments or anything to voice about this project, 68 Carroll Road, please raise your hand feature in your chat, or unmute yourself. And Jan, if you could keep an eye and see if anybody is in the chat or is on the looks like there's a couple of attendees in there, but I don't know if they're here for this one or not. Leah, do you have any specific recommendations on this one?
So I actually have a question first. So the main thing that was flagged
sorry.
from this application, when it was put in our online permitting system, was just the FEMA floodplain. And so, Jan, if you can pull up the FEMA map that I downloaded, and this is a little bit of just a question, as like a learning exercise, I suppose. So the plan has a note on it that the base flood elevation is at 357. And I was just curious, how do you reach that information? Because when you download the map from FEMA, it doesn't state base flood elevation is X.
Can you zoom in on that map?
So the red pin is the house.
So typically, because this is associated with Axel Brook, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then on a size stream like that, there may be a flood study. And if
Did we lose her?
Yeah, she's frozen. And if you can hear us, it sounds like you froze. Leah, I don't know if you have, while we're waiting for Sandy, if you want to jump back in, if there's any other, I guess, finish the question, or.
So my question is just, the floodplain shown in blue, and I know, GIS layers are estimates, and there is the note on the plan from the surveyor that it's at 357, which is well below where they're proposing this deck. But I just wanted to know, how do you find out that it's 357? And because when I download this map, there isn't a clear explanation of that. So that was just a procedural question for us. Other than that, I am recommending a negative determination with two conditions. One, that the procedures laid out in the application will be implemented, and two, that the erosion control would be removed after final stabilization is achieved. But hopefully we can get Sandy back and get that answer.
Yeah, it looks like she dropped off, so we can give her a second to see if she can reconnect. If it takes her a bit to reconnect, is that something the applicant needs to respond to, Leah?
If you wish, I can probably talk to it. It was my understanding that the homeowner in the past had contacted FEMA to have a flood study done in that area, and FEMA came back and signed off saying that 357 elevation was correct. I don't have documentation on it, but I was told that by both the surveyor and the homeowner.
Okay.
Because what are we pointing out here, Leah? It's really that it's potentially within that floodplain, or it's just at the very cusp of it or something. Is that, the
So
concern
if we're in agreement that it's at 357, then they're well out of it.
Well, out of it. Sorry. Yes, the 350.
Yeah.
So 359. Got it.
Yep. So that would be fine. And if you guys are comfortable with that, we can move forward and take a vote and close it. It was more of a procedural question for at the staff level when we see this layer appear on the map and we want to know more definitively. I was just curious how folks get that number.
Sorry, I got kicked off. Sorry.
We're still
That's right.
talking about the question you were trying to answer.
Okay, so basically the section lines, I don't know how much you heard, the section line like HH, that's a cross section of Axel Brook. And basically at that location coming out from the section line, that's the elevation based on the floodplain or the flood study. So I'm not sure where this particular site is, but you would align that site with one of these sections, and that's an approximate, and typically you just round up. So what did you say? 357 was the elevation?
Yeah, and so if you see right under the words Town of Grafton, that red dot, that's this house.
Okay. And so looking at this map, so what you're seeing is the zone AE, so that means the 100-year floodplain with an elevation. And you can see that there's a 357 something underneath that. And as you go down, it goes up to 360. But in general, you kind of match it up and it's approximate. And then close to Axel Brook, there's a different type of hatching, and that's a floodway, which means their velocity. The flood zone, the zone AE is relatively shallow water spreading out. So that's how you typically read this. So if they have an elevation and it's based on that, that's probably the best available information.
Okay. So Jan, if you could just go back to the plan, I just want to show the commission that 357 is well outside of their work. So just to finish that thought. And that's all I had for you guys.
Okay.
Okay. So Sandy, while you were reconnecting, Leah did mention her recommendation. I can reiterate it if you'd like, or Leah, I don't know if you have to reiterate it so it's consistent with Sandy being back on or not.
I can do it, yeah. So I was recommending closing the hearing, issuing a negative determination with two conditions. One, that the procedures laid out in their application be implemented, and two, that the erosion control be removed after final stabilization is achieved.
Okay. So having heard that and having asked for public comments, I don't know, probably 5 to 10 minutes ago now, have we seen anything from the public, Jan?
Nothing from the public.
Okay. So that being said, do I have a motion?
Sure, I'll make a motion to close the hearing and issue a negative determination with the conditions already mentioned by the agent.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. I've got a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call vote. Sandy,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Emily,
Yes.
and I'm also a yes. The motion passes. Thank you very much.
kind of liking this side of this, Jonathan.
Okay.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dave. Next, do we just want to take them in order, Leah? Move down to
So we have
PNOI?
two other
or-
hearings, which are continuances, and we do have someone online for the action item that is at the bottom of the report.
I'm fine taking the action item first. Whatever works. It doesn't matter. But whatever
Okay.
whatever you'd like to run in order of here.
Sure. So if we skip to that action item for a second, we have a request for a certificate of compliance for 10 Institute Road. This was for a septic system replacement. They've met almost all the conditions except the no disturb signage and barrier placement. Jen and I have been working with Mark, who she just promoted to be a panelist, on the signage and the barrier. We're down to the right material, the right orientation of the signs. And I believe this afternoon he relocated them to be at the no disturb line. They were previously at the wetland line. However, I believe the split rail fence is still at the wetland line instead of the no disturb line. So originally I wanted to put this to the commission and get your thoughts, but in his conversation with Jan this afternoon, Mark did mention that the incoming homeowner might be agreeable to relocating that fence anyway, so we could maybe just revisit this in 2 weeks, but wanted to see where we're at and have everyone on the same page.
So this is just a discussion item. I don't need to open this up or anything like that as any type of hearing. So I'll go around the group and see any comments on the what Leah just mentioned about 10 Institute. Emily, any comments, questions?
No comments or questions. Thank you.
All right. Patrick?
I guess just thinking through, Leah, is there anything in particular you need from us for this, or just kind of opening it up for opinion?
So I guess maybe we should go to Mark next. And he can speak to if he thinks that the new homeowner will move the fence to the no disturb line and we just revisit this in 2 weeks, or are we needing to talk through other options?
Sure. How about we have Mark say his piece here, and then we can circle back to Sandy or the commission if they have any other comments. Mark, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me.
We can hear you.
Great.
If you could explain the situation and
Sure.
And there you go.
Yeah, basically we've had some back and forth on where things needed to be placed. Now that I had full understanding, we've got the signs all in the right place. Unfortunately, we put in the split rail fence prior to determining, which was the correct location. So when I visited the site today, there are two big trees that would be in the area that I believe this split fence would need to be moved to. So I'm not sure how hard and fast the 25-foot rule is. Jan had said that we don't take any trees down for those reasons. So I didn't know. The real key would be, where would we want this fence to be if we had to move it? I don't know if that's really the only question. I mean, I believe the new owner would move the fence if you chose to move it up 10 feet or 15 feet, but I don't believe it'll be right around the 25, but the trees and the slope make it a little less effective than where it is now.
Well, so it's at the wetland line, and we're going to move it closer to the house, basically, is what you're saying.
Correct.
Because obviously that fence is there, so people recognize that they can't dump or put things into the wetland. So we need to move the fence up or have some type of we've used signs in the past. I'm not sure if this was brought up, Leah, when we were going through any of the details, but obviously that fence should be at the same line as those, unless there's a tree line that would indicate it, and the split rail fence is not necessary, but obviously it should be part of the previous hearing.
Yeah, we landed on, the conditions for this one asked for signage all along the no disturb, which he has done. And then a barrier along, adjacent to a certain number of flags, where you see the blue line that he drew in pretty close to the wetland line. Those were the flags we called out, asking for a barrier over on that side, just because of the layout of the lawn. I guess I would put the idea out there to the commission of, should the fence go, on the lawn side of these trees or be staggered amongst the trees? Right now it's only a few feet away from the wetland line.
So we're talking about those 1, 2, 3, 4 dots basically towards the left side of the plan beneath the line. That's where the fence needs to be relocated. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah. Jan,
and the cluster of gray in the middle of
mouse.
trees.
So
Jan's, that's the
Jan's,
tree there in the middle.
There's trees there. Yeah.
We do have some photos too, if that's helpful. I don't know if it's
more helpful than this probably, but
if it's the right orientation of the spot we need to see. But
if we're making some type of a determination of an adjustment, it might be helpful to see just the picture if we've got it. So that's the current location of the existing fence, and that green post is where it needs to move to.
Right. So it would line up right with these trees here. I mean, we could move it, but it wouldn't make it all the way over to, what is it, M1? It would interrupt the fence. I mean, we'll put it, I think we would move it anywhere. This does slope as well, and it's a little more graded. But it could be moved if you require it.
I'm pretty sure that we would have to follow the previously issued and discussed process. So we'd want the fence moved up to that line. So if the tree is in the way of that line, then I would say that the fence should abut the tree, but that's just my take. I don't know if Leah, that's copacetic or not, with what we're trying to do. If the tree would act as a natural, I mean, the tree is that, if that's the pine tree there that we're kind of running into on the left side with the bark.
Yeah, there's two trees right next to each other growing.
They don't appear to be very healthy. So my concern would be that thing's going to come out and then you're just going to have a hole there. But if the fence is enough of visual representation that we can use,
okay,
I'd lean on what you would want, Leah. Can that tree act as kind of one of the end posts, and then the fence goes along the front where the signage is?
Yeah, I'm fine with the fence having to be staggered around trees as needed. I see that as like a field adjustment, yeah. But okay. I think some of the confusion arises from the fact that the plan that we were conditioning at the time showed the tree line, the new tree line being more, the lawn being more expanded than I think it actually happened. So I think our intention had been to put the fence at the lawn edge, which would have been the no disturb on the proposed plan. I think is why we're kind of in this dance.
Okay. Yeah, I'm in agreement that we can move that fence. So at least if we come back, or the new owner comes back in 2 weeks and shows that the fence has been moved to this line, it'll meet all the standards that you require of the 25 feet.
Yeah, that would do it.
The signage, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we can do that. We just want to get it right. That should be
so
fine.
This is Jonathan, this is Sandy. Can I ask a couple questions?
Of course. Yeah, go ahead. We missed you in the first round here, so go ahead.
So just a couple of clarifications. So is this one of the houses that is brand new?
No.
Oh, this is an existing house.
Okay, that clarifies. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
and so, and again, I'm just trying to get back to, what they were doing in the yard, and it looks like there's a pool back there or something.
This is well beyond the pool. This whole area in the yard is non-functioning and is really almost non-accessible as well. You have to literally roll down the hill of the septic to get to this point. So there would probably be no use of it. This is just behind the septic system and the pool.
Right. And if that's the case, I mean, as far as the commission's is concerned, which Jonathan's already said, we have a condition that says it has to be 25 feet. Along the 25 feet, it can be, closer to the septic or whatever, if it's easier to avoid that tree. So if it's, instead of being 25 feet from the wetland area, if you made it 30 feet from it, that's fine too. It's just, it can't be closer than the 25 feet. So it's, you don't need to jump through a bunch of hoops to put this split rail fence in. If all you need to do is move it 3 feet one way or the other, that's really, it's to what Jonathan was saying, it's that visual barrier that someone says, why did someone put this here? Oh, look at this little signs here. So that's the function of it.
Okay. We can make that work.
Okay.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Leah, thank you, Sandy. Leah, do you need any type of a vote or a hearing or not hearing, a vote or a decision on this in any way, or is that effective?
No, I think we're good to just revisit it on March 26th. We'll vote on it then.
Okay, sounds good.
Great. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Mark. Jump back up to the NOI for Fisherville Pond.
Sure.
Let me get the other sheet open. So pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing via Zoom to act upon a notice of intent and application for Grafton Wetlands bylaw permit for the replacement of an overhead transmission line structures between Pleasant Street and Providence Road, Grafton, Mass. The application The application materials, meeting link, and access information will be posted to the town website. For more information, call town or conservation@graftonmass.gov. Who's here to speak to this one?
Me?
Olivia, you have the floor.
Okay, so I gave an overview of the project last meeting. I'm not sure if it would be useful to give another brief overview because some of you weren't there. So essentially 6 structures are going to be replaced along 2 transmission lines. They're going to be shifted back. So the reason the structures are moving is to get them out of the wetlands. But the new structures will be in bordering land subject to flooding and buffer zone. And 2 of them are going to be in the 25-foot no disturb zone. And that happened just engineering constraints in terms of how wide I believe they could make the span across the pond crossing. So that necessitated, I believe it's structure 25 to be in the no disturb zone. And since the last hearing, we made a couple changes based on comments from the commission. So we were able to remove the alternative access that was on sheet 2 of the plans. I know that was a concern because it went near a vernal pool. So we talked to the construction team, determined that that is no longer necessary. So we'll be pursuing just the primary access that you can see in yellow there that well avoids the vernal pool. And then we also, just to be extra careful, added the wellhead protection zones as overlays to the figure. And I believe we're still waiting on a DEP file number, so I'm not sure what the procedure is here, but yeah.
Thank you. To address one of your comments at the beginning, I wasn't here in the last meeting, but I did watch the whole meeting as well as fill out. And Sandy, you can help me with this, or Leah, you can help me with this. The Mullen rule.
Yeah, the Mullen rule.
So I'm caught up to. I watched the entire thing from last time, read the meeting minutes, all those pieces, so I can effectively work my way through it. But to your other comment, if you're awaiting a DEP number, we really can't move forward with anything, so it would be a continuance. until we get the DEP number, and any comments back. So,
Okay, perfect.
So I don't know, Sandy, apologies, I don't do this every day. Sandy, do we need to go around the group for discussion? Leah, do you want to go through any recommendations, or should we look to continue to the next meeting where we can address these things?
So I would just make the suggestion. I know I watched the video and so forth, and I know there's a couple of waivers that were requested. You know, I would say it'd be fine if like Leah has her report and all the conditions. If all we're doing is waiting on the DEP number, maybe we can kind of go through those conditions and get everything off the plate except for potential DEP comments. Because I think it's at this point it's fairly straightforward. Leah, please tell me if I'm wrong on that.
I have one question before those items, but yes, otherwise pretty straightforward.
Okay.
Okay. Go ahead, Leah.
So my one question was just where will the wetland soil come from to backfill that 36 square feet of wetland that's going to be recovered after the existing structures are excavated?
So the plan is to use soil that's excavated from the other structures. So it might not be coming directly from a wetland, but it'll be coming from just, you know, a couple 100 feet away. That's my understanding of what the plan is, but I can double check with the team.
Okay, because I think if we're going to count it as recovered wetland, it needs to be hydric soil.
Okay.
And that can be manufactured. We'd much prefer if it's from the wetlands, but you can, I don't even want to say approximate. There is a provision that you can use material that meets certain criteria for the wetlands.
Okay, is that in that's not in the Wetlands Protection Act, is it? Like where would I
It's not,
find
it
this?
wouldn't be in the act. It would be in,
Okay.
I don't know if, I'm not sure where the guidance is. It has to do with the amount of organics in it. So, to be quite honest, I'd have to look it up to figure it out. But if you have, wetland scientists on your team, they will be able to tell you, hey, you need to do some certain type of mulch with soil to get a certain organic layer level up. And they should be able to give you the direction on a typical soil mix that you would augment hydric soils if you don't have hydric soils available on the site.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Leah, do you want to run through any special conditions or findings?
Yeah, do you want to do the waivers first?
Sure, let's do the waivers first.
Okay.
So there was, I believe, two. One was for work within the no disturb, and then one was for exceeding the threshold of the BVW impacts of 5,000. I think that's square feet.
Yeah, and just to add to that, that's temporary impacts for their construction matting.
Got it. Okay. Do we need to go for comments before we talk about a motion for a waiver, or
you mean
public
public
input?
Comments?
Yeah, or team comments here.
Sandy, what's your take on that?
I
I'm a
would
little
say,
rusty at
I would
first,
say
so
you could, yeah, you can ask right now if anyone has any public comments, and Jan can kind of keep an eye out for that. And then I
Okay.
would go around, the commissioners real quick to see if they have any other questions on the waivers.
Got it. Okay. So Jan, please keep an eye on the chat if there's any public comments. I don't think there's actually anybody in the participants currently. It's just all panelists currently, from what I can tell. But if someone does join and raise their hand, please let us know. But Emily, do you have any comments, questions on the two waivers in discussion here for the no disturb as well as the BVW impacts?
Nope.
Patrick, any comments, questions?
No comments, no questions.
Okay. Sandy?
I'm good with them. Do you need a motion?
I will take a motion as long as there's no comments from the public or anything that has come back.
Nothing from the public.
Okay. Yes,
Sure.
I'll take a motion.
I propose a motion to grant a waiver for work within the no disturb zone.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second for work within the no disturbed for the Pleasant Street to Providence Road transmission line upgrades. I'll do a roll call vote. Sandy,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and Emily.
Yes.
I'm also yes, the waiver is granted. Waiver is approved, I should say. Do I
Second
have
motion?
a second motion for the other waiver?
So I'll make a motion to grant the request for exceeding the threshold of BVW impacts of 5,000 square feet based on the information provided at the hearing.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. I'll run around the group here. Emily,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
and Sandy.
I'm also a yes.
I am a yes as well, and that motion for the request passes. Leah, any findings or special conditions that you want to run through?
Yeah, you ready for the list?
Fire away.
All right. I have 3 findings. One is that it's a limited project per 310 CMR 10.533D, which is for construction, reconstruction, operation, and maintenance of overhead utilities. Finding 2 is that we are allowing temporary impacts to 76,754 square feet of BVW, 705 square feet of land underwater, and 32 linear feet of bank for construction matting. And the third finding is that we are in agreement with the rationale about BLSF impacts being essentially zero because of the poles being relocated. And then I have 6 special conditions. 1, as noted in the NOI, any spoils not used for site restoration shall be spread in upland areas within the right-of-way or removed from the site. 2, as noted in the NOI, upon completion, the construction matting shall be removed, and the areas shall be monitored quarterly and seeded as necessary until all ground surfaces have reached 75% revegetation. 3, the 36 square feet of recovered wetlands shall be seeded with a wetland seed mix, and it shall be monitored for invasives, which shall be removed until 75% revegetation is achieved. 4, the National Grid environmental guidance document provided shall be adhered to, with the exception of straw only being used in place where hay is referenced. And the last 2 are from the Grafton Water District. Per their request. 1 would be, since the project site is located within Zone 1 and Zone 2 wellhead protection radii, any release of any amount of contamination shall be immediately reported to DEP and the Grafton Water District. And their second request was, since the project site is located within Zone 1 and Zone 2 wellhead protection radii, the Grafton Water District shall be given site access for inspections and shall be given notice when the project starts and is completed.
Anything else?
That's all I have.
Okay.
I just have one question. Is this going to need a SWIP for the project?
No, it will not have a SWIP. The ground disturbance does not exceed any of the thresholds.
Okay, so we're temporary impacts to 76,000 square feet of BVW, and we're not over the acre disturbance?
Construction matting, to my knowledge, does not count under the temporary impacts for requiring a CGP.
Okay. I don't know specifically. It's not, I mean, it is a EPA thing, and so and usually all I would be saying or recommending is that we get a copy of it. So that's all.
Okay.
I'm all
Okay.
set, Jonathan.
Thank you, Sandy. Olivia, do you have any comments or questions for Leah about those special conditions or anything that you flagged that we should discuss tonight?
No questions about the conditions. We did have one question that we wanted to talk with the commission about that I forgot to bring up earlier about road maintenance and repairs and what is considered maintenance and exempt. So we were wondering, just because it's a little bit of a gray area in the Wetlands Protection Act, about whether or not filling potholes in existing gravel access roads within bordering land subject to flooding would require extra permitting. So our question is, would we be able to do that and fill some of the potholes, or would you prefer us to just use construction matting in any place where any type of road repair would be required in resource areas?
It's a great question. Leah, I don't know if you have a specific response for that one, or Sandy, I'd lean on your expertise as well. I don't know if you have a response.
I mean,
Or if you-
I would want to read the whatever wording there is in the act before I give a definitive answer, but I am kind of tempted to say it's part of operation and maintenance.
I think if it's typical rutting and ups and downs that you typically grade out with a simple grader, and it's not like a 4-foot hole or something. I think if it's, and again, that's exactly what your question is what constitutes that, and I agree that there isn't a sharp line there that says once you go this much. I mean, I think it's to what Leah was saying, there's like some common maintenance that you do to maintain access, as long as you're not widening it or you're not substantially raising it or something like that. I would consider that regular maintenance. I don't know if that even helps because I'm being as vague as the regulations.
Yeah,
Almost like
that's
if it, quacks like a duck, then it's a duck, type of thing. If it's routine maintenance that you're not using any kind of unusual equipment or anything, I would think that's allowed. But once you really either start filling or widening, that is no longer regular maintenance.
okay.
And that's my opinion and not DEP's.
Okay. I think typically it would not involve any widening. And there's a bit of a question about when there is rutting along like the two tire tracks, about whether we would be allowed to lay stone across the whole roadway to flatten it, or whether we would just be allowed to fill it within the two ruts. So we just want to be like very careful because it is a gray area. Yeah.
Understood. So it sounds like that should be addressed within the DEP comments, or that's something that we need to research, or the applicant needs to research to propose what they're looking to do. I'm not sure whether it should get flagged in one of those two places, right? But yeah. Okay, so considering that we don't have a DEP number, we're still awaiting they're still waiting a DEP number. I'll ask the applicant, would you like to continue the hearing until 3/26?
Yes, please.
Okay. Any final comments for the commission? Patrick?
Nope, no comments.
Emily?
No comments.
Sandy?
None.
All right. Would someone like to make a motion for the transmission line upgrades?
Sure. I'll make a motion to continue the hearing to March 26th.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. I'll do a roll call vote. Patrick?
Yes.
Emily?
Yes.
And Sandy?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. The motion passes. We'll see you on the 26th.
Thank you.
Thank you, Olivia. And it looks like there's just one last one here for Abbey Woods. So let me read that in and then we'll get that rolling. Pursuant to the Massachusetts Wetlands Protection Act, Grafton Stormwater Management Bylaw, and the Grafton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, the Grafton Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing via Zoom to act upon notice of intent, application for a stormwater bylaw permit, and an application for Grafton Wetlands Bylaw permit for the construction of a residential subdivision at 18 Carroll Road, Grafton, Mass. The application, materials, meeting link, and access information will be posted to the town website. For more information, call the Conservation Department or reach out to conservation@grafton-mass.gov. Abby is here, I believe, and if you could give an overview and then we can come up with any questions.
I think when we came, the last meeting we were at, there was a bunch of questions which I think were answered and responded to by the engineer. It looks like I think you guys have everything you need, unless you want to tell us that you don't, if there's something else you're missing, but looks like everything was done to be, by the engineer to be approved. All the stuff that was addressed from the last meeting was addressed by the engineer, we believe.
Okay. So it looks like there's some things lacking. Leah, I don't know if you want to run through that first and then we can run around the commission with any questions, if you've got any concerns or what we've received.
So I can go through my comments, but I don't think we've ever actually had a presentation on this.
Okay. So then maybe we should stop and do a full presentation from the applicant. Is that what we're looking for?
Yeah.
Well, it's just basically a renewal of the wetlands permit, right? Is what it is. So I'm not in a position to do a whole presentation on it. I think that wasn't really done the last time, but this is basically, it's a small 10-lot subdivision that was approved and all this, and so basically it expired, and so we'd have to, I guess, go back to square one to a degree, and then we had to get all these things done, which the engineer did, and so just, I guess, resubmitting because we're missing a bunch of stuff the last time. I guess Abby said he emailed Leah and didn't have any comments. She didn't have any comments at that point. She might have some more tonight. That's kind of it. So it's just basically the wetlands permit is continue building.
Okay. Leah, I don't know if that suffices. That sounds like a high level overview there. So I don't know if you have any specific comments that we can run through.
I do, but I'd just like to ask Sandy, I suppose, if you find that.
So I think
acceptable.
the catch-22 is the fact that the permit was allowed, or the should say the order of condition was allowed to lapse. And since then, there's new requirements for the MS4. That's kind of the key thing, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so the regulations have changed. Now, it may be that you're already taking care of that 90% TSS and 60% total phosphorus removal, or is there something that you can let us know what those numbers are so that we can make a determination if you're meeting the current requirements. I mean, I think it's unfortunate that the order of condition lapsed. I mean, that's unfortunate, and then that you missed that deadline. And for the things that was already covered for the project that's built is fine, but it's just that you're in this kind of little bit of a gap, and you don't have a permit, and you're trying to keep on going, which don't have any issue with it, but some of the regulations have been changed. And so
Sandy, just to pause really quick, it looks like we lost the applicant from the call, unless I'm missing something.
Okay.
It's now just the commission.
Okay.
Jan and yeah, that's it.
So we never got an updated stormwater report, Leah?
Correct. To that effect, we just have bullet points in an email that are just like, we meet it, but no justification. which
I
is
mean, that's
what-
all we need is they need to, and it's too bad that they jumped off because I think there's some leeway here. And if they tell us what the actual numbers are, we as a commission can make a judgment based on when things were submitted in the process to, and whether we want to give them relief or not, that's a different question. I mean, get the situation that it's under construction. And we're not looking to shut something down, but they're the ones that unfortunately let the permit lapse.
Right.
I haven't seen them jump back into the attendees or in the panelists, so they
Okay.
may have lost connection. I don't know.
You
I still don't know if
guys,
we have to wait for them or if we can go ahead.
yeah,
Lauren.
Okay.
this is a new one.
Yeah, I don't know. This is
I can read through my comments since we're in the open hearing, and I can follow
Yeah.
up with them in email tomorrow.
That might be
and
helpful.
suggest to them that if they're not meeting something, ask for relief or a waiver from it because of the circumstances of when it was originally submitted. But it would be nice to know, based on what they have put in there, if the, phosphorus removal rate is 20% or 50% and the requirement's 60%. But we don't have that information, correct?
Right.
Sorry,
Okay.
Looks like
Engineer for a
just
second.
rejoined. Yeah, it looks like we lost you. Can you hear us?
Yes, we can. Yeah, we lost internet for a minute at the office. Sorry about that.
No worries.
No
That's all
problem.
right.
So let me kind of go through that again, since I'm not sure where you dropped off. So in general, I mean, it's unfortunate that the actual permit lapsed and there's now been changes to the regulations. What we're really looking for is, because we did not get anything new, there's two things that changed. One is, and it's because of the MS4 permit that the town has and the regulations got updated, is 90% TSS, and this is both on the town and state, I should say, is that you need 90% TSS and 60% total phosphorus removal. A good starting place is not to say go redesign it and stuff. Tell us how close you are to the 90% and what you have for the 60%. And then it's up to you if you want to request any kind of relief from those numbers not meeting it based on the history of the project. But what we don't have in any substantial kind of backup is what those numbers are. So, someone's got to say, based on the EPA curves, this is what the total phosphorus removal. We need to have an engineer say, this is it, and not
Yeah,
just.
you need an engineer here. That's what I thought. That's okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to postpone. My apologies. I thought all this was answered, and I'll just do you have anything you want to say, or? But yes, they really need the engineer to present this. You're 100% right. He'll be able to speak your language, so to speak.
Right. And we're not looking to have you stop everything because you're in this catch-22. It's unfortunate it lapsed, but what we want to do is make sure everything is meeting to the best ability of what the current regulations are, understanding that this was actually permitted under a different set of rules. But let's get to there. But what we don't have is, how close are you? Based on the previous stuff, you had like 85% TSS removal, not the 90%. Those are things that we can say, let's look at those. The key one is the total phosphorus. And someone that wasn't previously required, that's now required under both the local and the state because of the MS4. So the question becomes, you just need to say how close you are and what that issue is. I don't think you've got all the calculations, just need to update them. I don't think it's a huge lift.
Was there a list of stuff that I thought the engineer addressed? Was that not one of them, I guess?
Well, they sent an email with a bullet list with no supporting information.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we need a little bit of backup.
No, for sure. Yeah, whatever you need. So I guess maybe
the emails exactly what they need.
Yeah, they're gonna have the engineer come back, I think, and make the presentation, obviously. I
Right.
thought all that was done. I was trying to just basically to provide a Skype outlet, not a Skype, but an outlet here for being online with you folks. So do we just continue, I guess, then to the next meeting and have the engineer talk to him and make sure that he can show up at the next one? You know, or
Yeah,
do you
I would say that's probably a very good approach, but have
Okay.
them submit some information. I mean, what's being asked for is what's asked for now in any MS4 communities. So this isn't like new stuff here. This has been in place for a little while. Granted, your permit was done before that went in, the new MS4 went in,
Okay.
and so forth. So it's just, yeah,
Okay.
it's,
Do
let's
you have
let's
any other
figure out
questions,
where
any
we're
other
at.
concerns? Sorry, any other concerns besides that he should be looking for?
I will go back to Leah on her report on what else she has.
Okay.
So let's see. So we asked for a limit of disturbance to be added to the plans. That line appears on a sheet or two, but it doesn't appear to be a line around the entirety of the project. So that still needs to be fixed. The 25-foot no disturb around the isolated wetland is not always labeled, and it also doesn't have a 100-foot buffer zone around it. We also had asked for a note on the plan set about the wetlands being rechecked and what that date was, so that the date of the delineation isn't still 2020.
And Leah, sorry, that was all in your email to the guy? Sorry.
These are building off of my first list of comments.
Okay.
But in light of this new plan set, and I can follow up with all this in email as well.
Okay.
So as Sandy mentioned, the 90% TSS and 60% TP comment still hasn't been adequately addressed. We are waiting on a DEP number, so we'll see what comments they have as well. And then I did throw out there the question of the changes that were proposed to the stormwater basin after a Graves site visit report. I believe that was last summer. And the response was that once these permits are in hand, those changes will be made. I would suggest those changes be reflected in this plan set, so we're approving the right stormwater basin design.
Okay.
The only other thing that has come up in the meantime, which is through no fault of you guys, but through an audit of our files, we did find one other old open order for this property. It was 164545. I don't think any work ever commenced under that because it was for development and this was not developed. So if you can just get on OpenGov and just put in a request for that to be closed out because no work was ever done, we can take that vote at the next meeting and get that one off the books for you guys too.
Okay, that'd be in your email. Okay, that's good. Okay, cool. All right, that's fair enough.
Okay.
So you guys, one of you has to make a motion to continue.
Yeah, so you're requesting a continuation.
Yes, please.
So I'll
Yeah.
make a motion to continue this hearing to the March 26th public hearing.
Cool. All right.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. I just have one question before we take a roll call, which is, do we need to go to public comment even though we're going for a continuance, Sandy or Leah?
I would put it out there, and if anyone responds, that's great. So.
There's no one on the attendees currently, but if there's anyone out there that has public comment and would like to voice something, please raise your hand or unmute and speak. I'll give folks a couple seconds while I say this, and hearing nothing, seeing nothing, and no attendees in the meeting besides the panelists and the people on the screen currently. I will do a roll call vote. Emily?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And Sandy?
Yes.
I'm also a yes. We will see you on the 26th.
Awesome. Well, you'll see the engineer on the 26th next time.
Perfect.
Thank you guys.
Very
Thanks.
much.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you. All right. Lee, did you have anything else that's on the list?
That's all I have.
Jonathan, I really like it when you talk to the ghosts.
When I talk to what?
Ghosts.
I talk to ghosts.
The participants that don't exist. You do that well.
I know. That's my favorite. I've got to go and I've got to ask for the people that aren't on the meeting to make comments. I guess I don't know. I'll go through the process.
Weird
It's just due process. Yeah, it's due process. You
Yeah.
check the box. So
I thought you meant me staring off into space at my other screens
Oh,
over here.
no. Asking people who aren't here to comment. I'm waiting for
If
them.
anyone's out there in the world and wants to divine intervention into this meeting, then perfect. Please bring it up. Yeah. Um, that was a light one, and hopefully it wasn't too rough, but I'll take one more motion.
I'll do the motion. Can we what do you call it here? Oh, geez, I never do this one. Oh, can we adjourn the meeting? I'll make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second. The Jonathan freeze?
Yep.
Now Jonathan is frozen.
Can we end the meeting?
He's had
without
enough.
ending it?
I think Patrick froze too.
Just stuck here.
I'm not gonna stop my video to see if that helps.
They're both frozen.
Looks like Patrick is back.
They froze smiling, so that's better than I feel like I did.
I had made a motion to adjourn, and both you and Jonathan froze, so we're waiting for you guys to come back. Hey, and they're both back.
Wow.
So I made the motion to adjourn.
I caught it as you were saying it, and then I said, "Did you freeze?" And then everyone froze. So I'm sorry.
Same thing.
Both you and Patrick froze at the same time.
I blame Sandy.
It's all me. I'm in New Jersey. I turned off my video.
Must have been a Zoom thing or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
or
New Jersey do it.
BIOS or something. I don't know. That was weird. So I have a motion from Sandy to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
I've got 2 seconds. Jan can decide who the person who made the second. So I've got a motion and a second. We'll do a roll call vote. Emily?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
And Sandy?
And I'm also a yes.
I'm a yes. Well, motion carries. Thank you very much. Hopefully that wasn't too rough.